Johnny, what the hell is the Havana syndrome? The Havana syndrome, Johnny? Yeah? Well, you remember a few years ago, Johnny, there were reports from bloody people in the US Embassy in Havana.
Do you remember the Havana syndrome?
The so-called Havana syndrome.
The mysterious Havana syndrome.
It was dubbed Havana syndrome.
A new twist in a years-long mystery believed to have started in Havana.
That they were getting blasted, their ears were getting blasted, or something was getting blasted, coming through their bloody headsets and making them go fucking crazy, or, well, Jesus Christ, scare agonising symptoms. But Johnny, we heard about this years ago. Years ago, people were complaining about strange noises in their ears and all that sort of, feeling sick and all that sort of stuff.
Congressman, this is really startling. Tell me what you feel happened here.
Well, not only there, but also in Cuba itself. We believe that the Russians targeted our embassy and the Canadian embassy and affected hundreds of our diplomats in Cuba, giving them some pretty debilitating brain injuries.
The Kremlin has dismissed a media report that links a Russian intelligence unit to so-called Havana syndrome. That's a mystery illness which has affected US diplomats.
Russia? Well, that's a surprise. Oh, it's a hell of a surprise, Johnny. Well, 60 Minutes in the US, they've been messing around with it for years, trying to come to grips with who was doing it or what was doing it, and they've come out and said that there's a secretive Russian bloody unit that's responsible for doing it.
Now, an international joint investigation that aired on 60 Minutes alleges they may have been targeted by a secretive Russian intelligence unit.
It's next generation weaponry, and unfortunately, it's been refined on some of us, and we're the test subjects.
Yeah, so what are they doing, Johnny? Johnny, what are they doing? Are they blasting people with their headphones on like you see in the old movies? They're screaming and... Oh, gee, what are they doing?
About the Havana syndrome. What do you make of a lead U.S. military investigator, a whistleblower? He had worked on the Havana syndrome, telling 60 Minutes that he believes U.S. enemies, Russia and possibly China, have been physically attacking more than 100 U.S. intelligence officers, military and diplomatic officials, sometimes their families, using sonic weapons with a high-energy beam of microwaves or ultrasound, giving them brain injuries. What do you make of this?
Right, yeah.
Well, it happened in Cuba, right? That's why we call it Havana syndrome or Havana syndrome. But does anybody really believe that the Castro regime in its current form has the wherewithal to come up with something that the United States can't identify and can't counter? So it's right to believe that whether it's Russia or whether it's China or whether it's both of them working in collaboration.
Oh, Vladimir, he wouldn't admit to it, would he? But Johnny, are these people is it real or not? No one's really sure. But this particular woman, she reckons she's bloody had a bloody good dose of it.
Bam, inside my right ear, it was like a dentist drilling on steroids. That feeling when it gets too close to your eardrum, it's like that, times 10. It was like a high-pitched metallic drilling noise, and it knocked me forward at like a 45-degree angle this way.
Now, she doesn't sound like she's telling a bloody bullshit story, Johnny. It seems that she got affected by something.
Well, last night on 60 Minutes, a military investigator spoke out and said that Russia's GRU Unit 29155 may be behind the neurological symptom.
Yeah, right.
When a U.S. government employee was knocked unconscious by what was supposedly described as a strong energy beam. That victim was later diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury.
Well, it seems, Johnny, you're never going to get Vladimir come out and say, yes, that's right, we're working on that particular weapon. He's never going to say it. I don't even know why they ask him. I don't know whether they're going to be able to aim it at the general public, like fire it or something. The bloody mind boggles. Oh, Johnny, come on.